Good afternoon and welcome. We are glad that you are with us this afternoon. At this point in time, we usually start our meetings with the Reverend back there in the corner, wherever he is. There you go. Come on up, Rev. He gives us a solemnizing prayer, and this prayer is for the commissioners, asking for knowledge and the ability to do our best for the good of Rowan County. If you will join me, we'll have our prayer, and then we will have our presenting of the colors.
Commissioners, let's pray. Lord, we're glad to be here today. We're glad to be here today on behalf of our county commissioners, Lord. We thank you for their attendance today. We thank you for the preparation they've made for this meeting today, Lord. We ask you to give them the divine wisdom they need today to make the right decisions, do the right things, Lord. Bless us now and this meeting for all of us. Help us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. The Rowan County Honor Guard at this time will present the colors for us.
Take up and salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nick, have you got time to introduce your members here and let us thank them? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all being here. Commissioners, at this time, we will consider any additions to the agenda. I have one. Justin Mounts is going to be doing a presentation of benefits that the county provides for veterans. Are there any other additions?
I think there's 3 items on that list.
Government Management Fellowship to regulate agenda item E. Go ahead, Mr. Manager.
That's what we talked about earlier, getting the fellowship program for veterans. That's what
That
that
one is?
Yeah, that's what that is. And then last one's to change the Thanksgiving
Office
holiday
hours.
hours.
Thanksgiving holiday,
Yep.
will. All right. All in favor of changing or
I'll make a motion to accept the consent item as changed, agenda is concerned.
Second.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved. Or second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to add the additions to the consent agenda.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Now, are there any deletions?
Yeah,
That item.
we need to approve the minutes, don't we? It's on the consent. Okay, cool. All right. Don't do the.
All right. All right, if there's no deletions, then we will consider approval of the agenda at this point.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and we need to approve the consent agenda.
Did that.
All right, so we're already down to special recognitions. Eric, you gonna take care of that?
Yeah, I will if the commissioners, if y'all want to join me.
Sure.
Hello.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Over the past 9+ months, we have hosted the Rowan County Leadership Development Program. Many of you are in our audience today. We are going to present you with some certificates as well as,
Before we do that, I want to talk a little bit.
okay.
Thank you. So this is for the leadership class, like Siobhan was telling. But I want to first thank the commissioners. Y'all were the ones that funded this, which enabled us to have a meal at each of the 9 events, which really helped us muscle through. Also, special thanks to Commissioner Caskey. This was his idea to push this program and to push staff to create it. And this is the first inaugural event that we had. And so I'm really proud of everyone in the class. I think they did a great job, and I think we had fun. Also, I want to thank, I did very little, but without the leaders and the directors, we wouldn't have had the class we had. So I want to thank Siobhan. She did everything. Well, I say, Siobhan, we need to do this, and she's like, you mean I need to do this? And so, but there's a lot of we that did a lot of stuff. But Andy Downs, the senior internal auditor, he taught the class on ethics with Siobhan. TJ Brown from Emergency Services, and Ann, is Ann here? Yeah, Ann taught that class. Ann also taught problem solving, did some budgeting. Also, I'd like to thank Kelly. She was at every class, and she also taught the HR class. Oh, I forgot. TJ and Ann, they taught the communications class. Then Ann and Craig Powers taught the problem-solving class, and budgeting and public dollars was Ann, Anna, and Jody. And then change management was Valerie. And then the last class, the students pretty much taught that class, and they gave a speech about their experience, and then they voted on each other. And the one that won got a monetary gift of, I think, $1,250 or $1,200 even. And that person is going to give the speech to the commissioners and not to tell you about the class and what they did from their perspective. And the class ranked them as the best speech that was given. So again, thank you, commissioners. We did put it in the budget, so we intend to start right back up with applications this week or next week, and we'll do this again next year. And it was, we got to know each individual in the class, and it was really good. So the last project they did, and we'll be emailing it to the board sometime before the budget, was they selected a potential new event to have at Dan Nicholas Park. So they had some ideas about that we'll share with the board. So with that said, I'm going to ask Commissioner Caskey if you'll help me with these. Or no, I'm not. Are you handing the certificate? Okay, I can handle these.
Everything.
And then so after Siobhan does the certificate, if you'll just come by and shake the commissioner's hands. And then I have a small token of appreciation that's a challenge coin or to give each one of you. And then if you'll just stay up here with us, then we'll get a picture with all the commissioners, okay? Yeah, then we'll have the speech, okay? Thank you, Siobhan.
So listen closely for your name. And please, Carla Aldridge. Gina Quintero. Roxy Cashwell. Joy Degree. Ashley Duncan. Brian Edwards. William Hegler. Tina Hooks. Brandon Lynn. Chelsea Loman. Jane. Lindsay Maloney. Mark McDaniel. Mitzi Odell. Coughlin. Tammy Powell. David Prevet. Adrian Pruitt. Casey Robinson. Thomas Staten. Philip York.
I'm just gonna circle back with you. You kind of get in front of the commission. This is the April.
Shorter people to the front. Makes it easier. How do you turn this on? Hello, hello. And as Erin stated prior, Sharon Main is going to share her speech with us today.
Is the video? If April could play that during the speech. Yeah, if you could, as long as there's not sound. Is there sound? Okay.
All right. So there were 9 classes in the Rowan County Leadership Development Program. The 9th and final class was a day to reflect. We discussed what we liked and didn't like, what we learned, and what we came away with once the program was complete. There was a lot of information covered over the course of the program, a lot to like and a lot to learn from. I enjoyed each class since I am a nerd. I loved the homework assignments, the books we read, class assignments, and group work. My favorite class was taught by Kelly Natali because we got to hold a mock trial. I absolutely love that interactive experience and ad-lib script. I enjoyed not only being a key witness for the plaintiff, but also part of the legal counsel. Other classes were interesting too. Field trips, videos, and presentations were all enjoyable and informative. I loved the escape room experience and the trip to Dunn's Mountain. The weather could not have been better for the hike to the top. Of all the things I liked, the did not enjoy was the DISC personality test. I did not think it defined me correctly, and I was puzzled at the results. The larger groups had skills that were more stereotypical of leaders. My group of like-minded classmates was small, and although I liked them just fine, I struggled with results as they pertained to me. But overall, I learned a lot from the experience and watched as everyone else did too. For me, each of the previous 8 classes taught me something I will remember and use. Throughout the program, we discussed leadership styles, ethics, team building, short and long-term goals, problem solving, change management, budgeting, and laws governing local government. We learned to prepare the perfect PowerPoint and craft a quality memo. We learned that to be a leader, people have to want to follow you. The program also introduced us to several key people in management positions throughout Rowan County. All of them shared a common goal. They wanted to make a difference in the position they hold by the work that they do each day. It was interesting not only to hear what these people did to succeed, but to the failures and difficult situations they had to get through to become who they are today. These people proved that people are not just born leaders, leaders are born from experience. So that brings me to what the most important thing I will come away with now that the program is completed. For me, the most important thing I learned was to embrace my leadership style. Originally, I believed that leaders are strong-willed people who give orders, set boundaries, and maintain control. Well, after taking these classes, the answer is much broader. Leaders do not make demands, they have expectations. They do not assume their ideas are the only ones that will work. They encourage participation from everyone. They do not take sole credit for ideas that come from their team. They share the success together. They do not isolate people. They work to include them to build a strong team. I learned that strength comes in many forms, and I began to see it throughout the class. I know who has a talent for public speaking and who can complete a job without overthinking it, who always does his part even when it's not expected of him, and who will do the right thing when it may be inconvenient. There are those who will find the positive even when it seems impossible, and those who are more realistic. I know who is data-driven and who approaches every task with a level head. I know who is creative and who is resourceful. I know who will go out of the way to help others, both on and off the job. I know who is strong-willed and who has a strong work ethic. I know who enjoys being at the top and who questions even if they want to lead at all. I also know who has kids in college, kids in daycare, stepkids, grandkids, and no kids, who has a passion for animals, especially their dog, and who's afraid of dogs, who loves the outdoors and who prefers city life. I know who knows how to prune roses and who loves to garden. I know this because I care about these people and I want them to succeed. This leadership style of including and collaborating and caring is my leadership style. This style is also shared with other leaders that we learned about. In one of our assignments, we read about the CEO of Costco. He was exceptional because he got to know each of his employees and treated them with respect. We learned about Ernest Shackleton, whose team was stranded at the South Pole. He did not allow division within his team. Instead, he cared about the well-being and survival of all of them. We read a book about a penguin isle where the leader had to pull a team together to make a change so the whole colony would survive. He included everyone, even those who were against him, because he cared about their survival too. And that brings me back to the DISC personality test. The one thing I did not like about the program. Turns out it was right. I am the enthusiastic, collaborating, supportive person that works to include everyone. This is a talented group, and be honored to work beside any of them. I hope this program will continue to benefit the employees and future leaders of Rowan County.
Thank you, and thank you again, Commissioners. I just want to share one kind of lighthearted story. The county engineer, Craig Powers, was teaching the class on problem solving. Do you know what I'm getting ready to tell Craig? Yeah, it's an advanced class, and we went downtown to the escape room. Thank you. And you know, you're in this room, and I'm getting feedback too. You're in this room, and April. I don't think that one is this doing it. No. So we're in this room that's got several tables, and I think they're supposed to be poker tables. And then there's a wall. There's stuff on the wall, and there's chairs, and there's different things. And you're supposed to be looking for a hint to figure out how to get out of the room. And Craig Powers, the engineer, says, "I'll tell you guys one thing. The hint is in this room." and that was the brightest moment of that day. But anyway, so again, thank you, everybody. Thank you especially to all the directors that taught, and we sincerely appreciate it, and hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving and good Christmas.
I had the opportunity to be here the last day when you folks were making your presentations, and I was very impressed then. I don't think, well, I do know that I am glad that I am not seen as your leader, because that would really be a loss to this community. Thank you very much for your speech today, and I was overwhelmed, to say the least. But all of the students that are in this program, I questioned some of the folks that you had as instructors. I would have gotten confused as to who was doing the instruction and who was learning from this. But you were in this room too, Craig. I don't know that we'd give them any hints about what they're supposed to do, but thank you so much. You folks have just done a wonderful job. For us to get out of here before midnight, at this point, we're going to call on Justin Mounts to do a presentation for us. Karen, formally let them go.
Yeah, y'all are free to go if you'd like to, or you can stay. It's going to be a pretty short meeting if you want to
Not gonna hurt
stay.
my feelings, promise.
But if you leave, it affects your final grade.
You all have already gotten your certificates, so feel free. We don't want to coerce anybody.
Wrong word.
Well, HR is here. I'm trying to impress them.
All right, we settled down a little bit. Good afternoon. Thank you all for having me. Like Mr. Green said, we'll try to pack a lot of information into a little bit of a compressed timeline. I get a little bit excited about this stuff, so I tend to get a little wordy, so I made a shorter presentation. But I appreciate the opportunity to talk about Veterans Day, one of a few holidays that we get to celebrate people that have served the United States in some capacity in the military. So talk about a couple of facts, some of the things that the counties do specifically, or the county does specifically, and some of the things that we have in this region. So what is Veterans Day? World War I, known as the time of Great War, officially ended when the Treaty of Versailles was signed on June 28, 1919. Palace of Versailles outside the town of Versailles. However, fighting ceased 10 months earlier. temporary cessation of hostilities between the Allied nations went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. For that reason, November 11th, 1918 is generally regarded as the end of the war to end all wars. Veterans Day continues to be observed on November 11th, regardless of what day of the week it falls on. The restoration of the observance of Veterans Day to November 11th not only preserves its historical significance of the date, but helps focus attention on the important purpose of Veterans Day, a celebration to honor veterans, America's veterans, for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. Veterans Day and Memorial Day, two separate holidays. Veterans Day is a day to honor all veterans for their commitment to country and willingness to serve and sacrifice, while Memorial Day honors the sacrifice of those men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. They gave their lives in the line of duty while serving the United States Armed Forces. How do we celebrate? Don't come to work. Better way to celebrate. It's a federal holiday, right? Parades. This year, Bill Hefner VA in Salisbury has a portion of the parade. It's geared a little bit more towards some of the longer term residents that can't get out. We want to make sure that they understand that we haven't forgotten you. We know you're here. Also, downtown Salisbury, travel, barbecues, time spent with loved ones. I can tell you from personal experience, spent a lot of time away from family, and there's a lot more that spend a lot more time away. So the time with family, at barbecue, with friends, the time to have communion and share stories and time is really important to us. Discounts. There is a ton of places that offer discounts. You go get you a free bloomin' onion, you go down to Applebee's or whatever else, get you a discount. And there's many ways to say thank you other than just saying thank you. Quick bites about Rowan County and its veterans. Rowan County is home to the W.G. Bill Hefner Veterans Affairs Medical Center. That's one of 4 VA medical centers in the state. It's the main hospital for our region. Now there's clinics, there's CBOX, and there's other versions of that. But as far as hospitals go, there's only 4 main hospitals. So the executive director here is responsible for this entire region and all the hospitals and many clinics that fall in between. There's a lot going on with that one place. Bill Hefner also conducts research like most VA hospitals. I'm sure you've heard of things like Agent Orange and Camp Lejeune water. Those are a result of healthcare. You sign into registries for things like exposures. Certain conditions keep cropping up in those registries because it's early detection stuff, so they keep an eye on it. The hospitals send that research up to national. National sends that up to DC to legislatures, and they decide to remove some of the barriers to service connect those things so you can be paid and compensated for something you might have been exposed to that caused an illness. We have one of 4 national cemeteries located in North Carolina, and we are the only one, to the best of my knowledge, actively interring veterans. We just received a number of acres from there from a donation to continue that process for the next few decades. We have one of 5 state veterans homes. The 5th one, I think, has their opening ceremony this week to open. Up until this point, we were one of 4. There's a pretty sound reason that I think that this should be one of the absolute mainstays of where veterans can receive care. We have a hospital, we have a cemetery, we have a state veterans home. There's a lot of assets that we have here that a lot of counties don't have access to. Rowan County is home to over 9,200 veterans. Last year, the Veterans Benefit Administration distributed $78 million in compensation directly to veterans in Rowan County. That's compensation and pension alone. That's money paid directly to veterans as a result of things that they were injured while doing service and they're being compensated for. Service-connected compensation can best be equated to something like workers' comp. You were injured on active duty. That continues to today. The degree of severity is graded by percentage, and then you're issued an amount of money for that injury. $78 million last year. Veterans Affairs as a whole, expenditure in Rowan County was $244 million. We retain the hospital, but those statistics are broken out by where your actually home of record is. So we're not getting credit for everyone that comes to Hefner VA. We're only getting credit for the residents that live here. They spent $244 million. Of the 9,200 plus veterans that reside in Rowan County, 3,298 of them are in receipt of monetary compensation benefits. Those statistics come from the Veteran Affairs National Center for Analysis and Statistics. We get that gross domestic expenditure report every year, so we can actually grade how far we grow. By special request, the Benefits Administration in Winston will actually give us the amount of those veterans that has power of attorney. So we know who has that power of attorney. So at the moment, we retain power of attorney for, I think, 2/3 of the veterans that are benefited in the county. We have multiple accreditations as well, so it's hard to break those out specifically. No one else in the county has the North Carolina Department of Military and Veteran Affairs accreditation. That's the County Veteran Service Office's responsibility solely. How do we support our veterans here in Rowan County specifically? Well, our own Veteran Service Office, right? For which I'm the director of. We have 3 staff members. We retain power of attorney for a number of the veterans in the county, as well as additional powers of attorney. At the Veteran Service Office, we file claims for compensation. That's the lion's share of the things that we do. Our focus for the last several years has been to become a bottleneck. I don't want to have to not be able to refer veterans to the necessary place. I'd rather not refer them at all, but in some cases, we just don't have a choice. We just don't have outlets for certain things that can directly be handled by the county. We do liaison with the hospital. That's a responsibility as I see it, just because we're about 2 miles away from the facility. I can liaison directly with their administration. I can liaison directly with their chiefs and solve certain problems that other counties don't have the luxury because they can't hop over 2 miles or just send an email or a phone call because we're at events together all the time. We also are able to handle hearings and appeals. That separates us from some of the other counties. Other counties do great work, but we have a state office that handles hearings and appeals. By blessing of the state service officer, I handle our hearings and appeals so they don't go up to Winston-Salem. If a veteran has an in-person hearing, I take them there. They have somebody that they know that understands what they're going through. They have a personal relationship. The process with the VA is what's deemed non-adversarial, which means that it's not like going to criminal court. Everybody is on the veteran's side, but there's still rules to be obeyed. It's still an intimidating process to have to go stand in front of a federal circuit court judge. So having somebody competent that can go with you is a real calmer to a veteran who may already have some PTSD or anxiety or depression or other mental health issues. The county also offers the Thank a Vet program through the Register of Deeds, John Brindle, a veteran that can take their DD-214. They register it with him, they retain it, they receive an ID card free of charge, and a list of businesses that offer discounts with presentation of that card. Example is Lowe's and some other places like that will give you 10% off your purchase. Per our amazing human resources, employees will receive a 2% supplement to pay who are veterans. They choose employment with Rowan County as well as employment hiring preference. Hiring preference is exclusive. Point systems and things like that come into play, but if you list on our employment application that you're a veteran, you'll receive preference for that. Full and part-time benefited employees are also eligible for 172 hours of paid leave to fulfill military active duty training for National Guard and reservists. My understanding is that's much higher than what other places offer. So we're going above and beyond in a lot of areas, or at least we try to. And personally, I'd like to thank you, the board, the manager, finance, human resources, and any other county departments for their contribution to us, the Veteran Service Office. This allows us to do our jobs and support the veterans of the county. When we have the support network necessary, then those things aren't things that we necessarily have to worry about. We can do our jobs and focus on assisting veterans in every way possible. So thank you. Does the board or any other members have any questions for me?
Let me just make a comment. I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the job you do for us over there and your staff. You know, as just a few years ago, it was, we didn't have a lot of staff over there. We didn't have a lot going on. And I think we've tried our best as commission here to serve the veterans the best we can in the county with all the things that we've expanded and added the department and space over there. And I know you didn't mention this, but we're working on the Veterans Court coming up. Hopefully, was it July of next year, I think is what we're shooting for?
Yeah, the projections are at the earliest somewhere in the March or April timeframe, but that could be a little aggressive, but that's the hope, is the
Hopefully,
faster
yeah.
we can get it going.
And I think we made the, I don't know if it's been voted on, but we're on the final hurdle of getting some significant funds from the federal government, I think, for that. And so appreciate your work on that. And, you know, I think hopefully the citizens of the county can see, you know, how much this board as a whole cares about the veterans and the sacrifices they've made for the community. And, you know, there's more things we're going to try to do. We can't do it all overnight, but we're do as much as we can. And now I personally want to thank the other commissioners for all their support over the years of different initiatives that this board's been able to accomplish.
Well, we couldn't do it without the support of the board and the manager. So genuinely, we really appreciate it. It's an honor for me to be able to do this work, and all you're doing is facilitating me being able to do that. So I appreciate it.
Do you keep records of actual funds that go from the federal government to the service people in our area in Rowan County
Individually or as a whole?
as a whole?
So we personally don't keep them. Those funds, the VA is 3 departments. Any funds that are distributed are going to come from the Benefits Administration. Every year they issue us the global expenditure report. And that actually breaks down the entire United States by county. So we can go to that global expenditure report and see what they've spent broken down between compensation and pension, medical. It's not a record we keep, but the national office that I cited earlier, they keep those records, so they know exactly what they're distributing in every single county of the U.S. If that's something the board would like exposure to, every year when I get it, I can forward it on to the board. It's just an Excel spreadsheet that shows by county. So we can even go in and compare comparable counties. It tells us what our population is according to the VA. So we can go in and look and see, okay, we're growing in terms of benefits allocations at the same rate as comparable counties. But we're not going to look at somebody like Mecklenburg who has 10 times the veterans that we do, and they're probably bringing in $230 million a year. But the VA does retain those records for what they're distributing funds-wise. And they break it down into much more categories. Compensation pensions, just one line. Medical expenditure or overall total expenditure is another line. They actually break down how much they do on, I believe there's business loans and some other things that they do that are usually blank because it's just not things people take advantage of. But those are all retained by the VA and can be brought to the board at their request.
I assume medical would be broken down in a different category since we have the VA hospital here.
It's an overall expenditure, so they just leave it as the one category. The lion's share of that $244 million is going to be comp and pen and medical. That's what they're going to spend the most money on. In terms of if you mean what service they're providing for medical, there may be some portion of the VA that could provide that. I imagine the hospital probably has that down to a science, but that's not a report that we get because we don't have a lot of involvement with the hospital directly. Mostly what we do is benefits administration. Like I said, just geographically, we're in a place where I interact with them a lot more than most other counties do.
Yeah, I think we would like to see what figures you get about that at some point in time.
Absolutely.
So we just know how we support veterans.
Absolutely. More than happy to.
Any other questions?
I'd like to make one comment to Justin. Justin, I really appreciate you and your staff having to deal with the construction that's going on out at the West End and having to work out of the manager's office out there. It says a lot about your dedication, and I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. It's the option came up quick. The mall staff was unbelievably gracious and moving quickly. So it's like anything else, roll with the punches. But it's fun. It's actually going pretty well. We put up probably more signs than we needed to. But roll with the punches. It's the kind of thing that we knew was going to come up. I warned the staff before it started, hey, and they're great about it. So we're still cycling people through, new process, and things come up, we deal with them. So it's not a problem for us at all. We'll keep rolling no matter what.
I think the county is really looking forward to improvements in that location and things that are going on. So thank you for your help in letting that go forward. Aaron, what do we need to do about the office hours? Just make a motion about that? Okay. All right. Don't have any public comment. Go on. Who are we going to get up first here? Aaron? Aaron, are you up first? Huh? Pam? Well, we'll take you. Yeah, you're going to do.
Hey, are we not doing the other thing? The Veterans Local Government Management Fellowship?
I'm sorry. You're exactly right. We are doing that.
Oh, it's at the end?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Still going to do it some point in time here. roads.
Not real sure how to get to my slide, y'all, but I don't want to waste your time. So, we received at the office a petition submission for road naming. It was a driveway that already had 2 homes, and they're wanting to add a 3rd home, which by ordinance means that it property owners. It was unanimous. The name that they chose was Diamondback Drive. Um, and that was approved by EMS and GIS. Name change.
So this was the 3rd person added to that road,
Yeah,
and that was
they're all
all,
within the same family. Yeah,
they all agreed to this name.
they all
and
agreed to it.
So all
yes.
we have to do is approve that then. All right, we will open the public hearing, and if anyone is here to speak on behalf of this name change, we'll welcome you to come forward. Seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the name of the drive to Diamondback Drive.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that was closed.
Now we got another public hearing.
Hearing now has a
Right.
floor.
So we got a similar situation here. This is they're building a 3rd house off of this driveway that you see here off of Cruz Road. We received a unanimous petition from the 2 property owners. There's 3 properties, but 2 owners. They agreed on the name Orange Creek Lane on their road name petition. So we just need a public hearing for any public comments and then to approve or deny the road name request.
Karen, did you say there was 3 and 2 property owners?
There's 2 property owners and 3 properties. So you can see 608 and 610 Cruz Road are existing houses. And then he sold a lot in the back to a third part or to another person. And so somebody's going to build on that lot there. It'll be the 3rd house.
That will be the 3rd house.
Right.
Or the 3rd property owner.
Well, it's only 2 property owners. It'll be the 3rd house though. So
Okay.
the current owner owns the 2 front houses here, and then the second owner is going to own the lot in the back for a new house.
All right, at this point, we're going to open the public hearing and ask that anyone who is interested in speaking about the road name change to Orange Creek Lane, please come forward. Seeing none rising at this point in time, we're going to close the proceedings.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the name change to petition to the new name Orange Creek Lane.
Excuse me. Second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That is approved. And at this time, we have the pleasure of hearing from the head of our Ag Department, Miss Amy Lynn.
Today, we're just going over amendment change for Chapter 8.5 Farmland Preservation to get our amendment in line with our state statutory changes that were made in 2021. They're very minor, just a few verbal changes within the amendment. One at the beginning where ours said it used to say increase protection from nuisance suits. The state would like us to change that to decrease the likelihood of legal disputes, such as nuisance actions between farm owners and their neighbors. That's at the beginning. And then towards further back in our ordinance, there is some time frame changes in the public hearings if the advisory board is asked for a public hearing, instead of 2 days, you need to be given 10 days to notify the newspapers. And then it has to be held within 30 days instead of 14 days at the request. So just giving more time for that to take place for a public hearing. And the other language in there is that land value will not be a factor of selection between properties under consideration for the proposed action. So in the terms of condemnation, that the board would not look at the value of that land as a factor in terms of that. So that wouldn't be
But the requirement of acreage to be a part of that
right.
is not going to change.
Yep. We changed that in 2018. The board approved that in 2018 for the requirement of acreage for a bona fide farm in Rowan County is a minimum of 5 acres, but they also had to meet the requirement of having a forest management plan or file a federal income taxes, their federal income taxes with a Schedule F, or meet the state income tax requirement of $10,000 a year to get the sales tax exemption credit status from the DOR. So if they meet one of those 4 requirements and have a minimum of 5 acres, you are qualified for the VAD. Or if you are qualified already for the present use value program. So previously, before 2018, you had to qualify for the present use value, which meant you had to have a minimum of 10 acres in production.
But there are so many people that are involved in agriculture now that grow flowers
Right.
or do something that
Right.
5 acres.
They can have less
would
than the
be-
5 acres and still qualify as long as they're filing their federal income taxes under the Schedule F, which is the farm tax income. They just have to prove that. We just need what we ask is they show us 3 years from the board.
And that
or-
minimum is $1,000,
Yes,
is that correct? of
$1,000 income. But you have to be filing your taxes that way. So you are a bona fide farm.
Oh, surely none of us would leave that off.
Right. And then the other pieces are that you, and so we look at that. The advisory board always looks at the GIS system as well. But it does have to be a minimum of the 5 acres in land holding. And the board made that decision based on they really felt that they didn't want to get involved in much smaller acreage lots applying for the VAD and having to really qualify the hobby or homesteading over actual farm businesses. So the 5 acres was the minimum that was set by the board. And that was approved in 2018. And we're not asking to change that this year. That's already in line with the state statute. The other thing that we are asking, though, is, and we've already been doing that with the GIS department, is that now every farm that is enrolled in the VAD is highlighted in the GIS system. And any person who is researching property within the VAD, if they're within a half a mile of a farm, that person is notified that this property is within 1/2 of an aerial mile of a farm. This is to make sure that there is no confusion about being in an active farm area versus not. And our GIS department has been doing this since 2019. Actually, we started doing this right away. We just hadn't got our ordinance up to date yet.
Amy Lynn, the amount to qualify as a farm, $1,000, was that set by the state or?
Yeah, that's been actually that's a USDA federal income tax
it's
requirement.
okay.
Yeah.
No,
That's
it sounds
federally
so low.
That's federal.
know.
Yeah, that's federal. To qualify as a farm federally on your federal income taxes is $1,000 income. But you have to show a profit after 3 years. If you don't, you're a hobby.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, what? What do we need to do to doing this again?
Sorry.
I didn't realize she had to have a public hearing. All right, at this point in time, we're going to have another public hearing for, oh my God, Amy Lynn, tell us what we're going to, how many of those things are we going to do?
Well, I would just say we're making amendments to the chapter 8.5 farmland preservation and ordinance in your code of ordinance,
Okay.
because there's multiple changes.
We're going to make these then according to the things that she just brought up. All right. Do I have a motion? Yeah. We'll now close it.
I'll make a motion to make the changes to the farm preservation ordinances as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now approved, Amy Lynn. Thank you
you.
so much.
Board appointments next.
Yeah. All right. At this point in time, Rowan County has places for the board on the Therapeutic Recreation Board. Monica Martin applied for an at-large seat on the Therapeutic Recreation Board, which became available on August 1st, 2023. If approved, this term would end July 31st, 2026.
I nominate Monica.
All in favor of Monica, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Town of Cleveland Zoning and Planning, ETJ. Leslie Smith reapplied for alternate seat on the Town of Cleveland Zoning and Planning, ETJ, which became available on November the 1st, 2023. If reappointed, her term would end October the 31st, 2026, and there was no other applicants.
Make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, we have a
Second.
first, okay.
Second. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to it here. All in favor of voting for Leslie Smith's reappointment, say aye.
Aye.
Grayson Phillips reapplied for an at-large seat on the Town of Cleveland Zoning and Planning, ETJ, which became available on November the 1st, 2023. If reappointed, his term would end October the 31st, 2026.
Nominate Grayson.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Town of Spencer Zoning and Planning, ETJ. Dr. Terrell H. Bryan applied for the ETJ seat on the Town of Spencer Zoning and Planning, the ETJ, which became available on January the 1st, 2023. If reappointed, his term would end December the 31st, 2025.
Nominate Dr. Bryant.
Second.
I have a first and a second here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And with that, I will take a nomination.
We got that
What?
E, item E for Mike.
Oh, yeah, that one that we put on there. Michael, are you gonna do this, or is Aaron gonna do it?
Aaron's gonna talk
Aaron's
about
gonna
it.
do it? All right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. So just to give a little bit of background of this item, the ICMA is the International City and County Managers Association that provides training and credentialing for managers across the nation, but the country. They also censor and govern actions and ethics of county and city managers who are members. A lot of stuff they do, but they have a program. And before I tell you about the program, I called the program director. The program is the local government Veterans Management Fellowship Program. So I learned more about this from another manager in Texas at the recent conference, who's a county manager in North Carolina who's recently went through the program and had high remarks about it. But I called Lynn Phillips, the senior program director for veterans and coaching and scholarship program, and said, I'm from Rowan County. She said, do you know Siobhan Allen? And I think she's the manager there. And I said, no, I'm the manager. She's the assistant to the manager. I'm the manager. And she said, well, anyway, Siobhan, and I said that to say I want to thank Siobhan. She is also a veteran and retired from the United States Army as a sergeant. And she also serves on the ICMA Veterans Committee. And they know her, and not me, I get it, clearly. But also, before I get into this, congratulate her. She just told me last week that she finally earned which is not finally because it takes 2 years for anybody, but she did earn the Essential Management Certificate from ICMA. So congratulations, Siobhan, and thank you for doing that and for your service. So toward that end, the ICMA has lots of employees and lots of different things they do, but one thing they do is the Veterans Fellowship Management Program, and they have a partnership and a program through the Skill Bridge program through the United States Department of Defense. And what that program is for, the way I understand it, generally is veterans who are getting ready to retire and go out of service that are looking for to transition into civilian life for an occupation. They provide an opportunity for them to serve in different avenues. And in this particular case, it's in local governments across the country. And the Department of Defense pays for their salary. And so while they're transitioning. And that's really what this program is. And it's for, folks in the military who are wanting to transition to local government. So the cost to the county to do this is there is no cost. Like I said, the Department of Defense pays for the salary. There is an expectation that the local government, in this case would be the manager's office, will assist that veteran in job placement to the best of our abilities, whatever that may be, whether it's just being a coach, providing advice or whatever, or in some cases they do end up getting hired in the local government. There's absolutely no expectation or requirement that they are hired to serve in the particular local government they go to. Now, in the manager I talked to from North Carolina, in one of their instances did become the person became a department head director shortly after. I want to say internship, but it's not an internship. Management fellow. And by signing this agreement, we're not committing to host any particular fellow, but I would like to do it as often as we can get applicants to help those transitioning out of the military. once we sign this agreement with the ICMA, then we'll be advertised on their website as one of the communities in the United States that provides fellowship opportunities for folks going through the Skill Bridge program through the Department of Defense. So the closest military installation, there may be one closer, but the one that Lynn, the program director, talked about from North Carolina that they're frequently involved with is in Fayetteville. And, you know, she did say that generally there's, you know, are looking for places to where they won't have to relocate because they continue to live on base or wherever they are living at that time. But she did say if we provide housing, it would increase our chances of getting fellows. So we happen to have a home at Dan Nicholas Park that should be unoccupied by January, and due to several things, we don't intend to rent it anymore to the public. But a part of this is is for the board to approve us to enter into an agreement. The second would be to authorize staff to renovate, not an elaborate renovation, but after the next tenant moves out, is expected to move out, clean the carpets, paint the walls, that type of thing. And until otherwise noticed, it would be the home that we allow veterans to live in while they're doing the fellowship program. So a part of our advertisement to the ICMA would be that we also provide housing for veterans who are wanting to enter this program.
Aaron, one quick question. Are we going to supply then the appliances with the house then?
Yeah, that would need to be included. Also, Commissioner Pierce asked me earlier about power, so we would pay the power and the light and utilities for that home. But it's got is Don still here?
Yeah.
It's got a new roof on it. Does not have a new roof? Metal roof. Okay. But on down the road, also, we may use that for the park. Different things may use, but we don't intend to rent it anymore for residential. Well, for tenants who are just renting it.
Aaron, what would be the guidelines on that? Say, for example, we've got 2 people that come to the county. Would they have to share that facility, or would it be determined of whether they had family members living there, or how would we work that?
I don't know if you can have 2 people. Maybe you can. I don't know if you can have 2 at one time.
I'd like to find that out so we'd know where we are, the parameters of what we're doing.
I mean, if we have 2 people and we designate that house as housing, I mean, they're adults, so they could, share that housing. I think there's enough. I know there's enough room for 2 people. 3. Okay.
So would that allow them, if they had a family, to move their family into that home also?
I haven't thought about the family part.
Well, I mean, they're not going to come without them. So, I mean,
That's true.
That's why I said I'd like to know, how that system would develop.
We'd probably have the ability to limit the number of fellowships that we have at a time, wouldn't we?
Yeah, you're not required to have any fellowship.
We wouldn't have to have 2. We could say we only want to do one at a time, right?
You could, yes. And then when you do that, I mean, if they had, I mean, the whole place would be theirs.
Okay. I'd just like to have a system worked out before we move forward.
I mean, it would be, it would be theirs through their fellowship.
Okay.
What's the typical time for the fellowship again? Is it 12 weeks? Less?
Hold on, I think I saw 12 to 24 weeks. Anywhere from,
16 to 24 weeks.
yeah, 16 to 24.
All right, we're not gonna pay them any salary, so these
No, sir.
people are gonna be retired, they're gonna have to be retired in some way. They have something to live on.
Yeah, when they're here, they will not be retired. They'll still be working for the Department of Defense, getting paid by the
Okay.
Department of Defense.
All right,
And the goal is to help them transition, so when they do retire, they have a job shortly thereafter, or have experience, or, you know, for example, if we don't have any, which at this point we don't have any job openings, but, you know, we would try to connect them with other communities and towns that have openings for assistants or management analysts or budget analysts, you know, whatever they're looking to do. And it may be that if they're interested in being a Parks and Rec director, and we would try to tailor the program for them to be with Don a whole lot of the time.
Aaron, who's going to oversee this project?
We are.
We who?
Siobhan and I.
Siobhan, you got another job. No, I didn't know how who would oversee this. That's the reason I'm asking.
Yeah, if they're wanting to, it will depend largely. I mean, we'll oversee that in their, you know, filling out the paperwork for the Department of Defense. But, you know, if they want to be in management or finance, we'll let them spend, you know, their time with us. If they're looking at, you know, if they want to say, you know, be in emergency services, then we'll work with emergency services
Okay.
and expose them to as much experience as we can, whatever fits their needs the best.
Okay.
now, are these folks coming with the idea of being in management or just job placement, period?
It's they're required to have an interest in local government administration. So that could be,
Either or.
yeah, it could be, it could be a manager, it could be a director of a certain department. They may have special interest in what they were involved with when they were in service or currently in service.
Could we put Siobhan's name first on this?
You can,
And
yeah.
then evidently she's better known throughout the nation than you are.
Well, whatever the board would like to do, we can certainly do it.
Lord. All right, do we need to vote on this?
I have a motion here that we have to, it's got to be specific, I think.
All right,
Second.
go ahead, Mike.
I thought you said you made a motion.
No, I got a motion to read here.
Okay.
Authorize the county manager to sign the attached intent to host a Veterans Local Government Management Fellowship with the ICMA. Also authorize the county manager to remodel and furnish 6620 Bringle Ferry Road in Salisbury, North Carolina for purposes of leasing at no cost to any future local government management fellowship.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that passed.
Motion to adjourn.
I take a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Go home.
Do it.